What do you see? When I show this picture and ask this question in my literature and writing classes, almost invariably the response is stop, or it's a stop sign. Even though there is no writing on this red octagon, in our culture a red octagon has come to be so closely identified with the instruction to stop that most people don't even see this figure as a red octagon anymore. We see it as a stop sign. Think of this as I ask these questions based on a National Research Council definition of literacy in terms of fluency. Can you reformulate knowledge? Did you reformulate the red octagon into a sign telling you to stop? Can you express yourself creatively and appropriately? Did you, in fact, stop? How creative you were about stopping ranges from whether you slammed on the brakes, leaving skid marks and a pile of books and papers on the floor, or eased your way from all-out barreling along to a gentle, almost imperceptible halt. Can you produce and generate information, not just simply comprehend it? When you saw the sign, were you able to notice whether it was a two-way or a four-way stop, scan the area for surrounding traffic, including pedestrians, bicyclists, skateboarders, passing squirrels or ducks, and motorized vehicles, notice whether any of the surrounding traffic included a police car, and then decide how long you had to remain motionless at the sign before proceeding? If you could do all that, pretty much without even thinking about it, then you have attained stop sign literacy fluency. Let's keep those questions in mind as we look at some other alternate literacies, ones used in everyday life, at least for some people, but ones seldom discussed in school or in literacy courses. What do you see? Do you just see a frog wearing a crown sitting on a pillow in front of water? Or did you reformulate the knowledge to see a prince under a curse waiting to be kissed? That's cultural and literary literacy. How fluent was your response? What do you see? Do you see a baby crying? Or did you reformulate the knowledge to see a person reading her environment and writing her response in the form of facial contortions, tears, and the sounds of crying? Did you respond creatively and appropriately? That's emotional literacy. Some might argue it's a literacy of nurturing or parenting or carrying. Some cultural literacy is at play here too. How fluent was your response? What do you see? Do you see string, twine, or rope tied into knots that hold things together and are somewhat decorative? Or could you reformulate the knowledge to see systems of writing, of counting, of remembering things, as knots are used in some cultures? Could you respond creatively and appropriately to the knots? Could you produce and generate information from the knots? How fluent are you in knot literacy? What do you see? Do you see an exploded diagram of a faucet? Can you reformulate the knowledge to put the parts together? Can you respond creatively and appropriately? Can you produce and generate information, not just follow the printed directions, about how to hold 6 partially assembled parts in one hand while slipping another part into place with the other, or how to contort your arm to reach up under the sink to tighten the nut that holds the faucet in place? Could you look at an already put-together faucet and see in your head what all the parts are and how they go together? Think about even more complex mechanical items and machinery. How fluent are you at mechanical literacy? What do you see? Do you see a piece of paper with music notes on it? Can you reformulate the knowledge to play a part? Can you, without playing the part on an instrument, hear what you are reading? Can you, as a conductor of the orchestra, scan the page with your eye, hear all 15 parts in your head, and determine what gestures you will use to keep everyone together rhythmically, and to elicit creative and appropriate expression to convey meaning? Can you play by ear? Hear harmonies in your head without even seeing notes? How fluent are you at music literacy? What do you see? Do you see a piece of paper with a geometric line drawing on it? Can you reformulate the knowledge to see a very simple floor plan with windows, doors, and stairs indicated? Can you respond creatively and appropriately to create a model of the floor plan? Can you produce and generate knowledge to surmise what an entire house might look like if based on this drawing, and what component parts down to the nails and screws would be needed for such a project? Think of the blueprints, usually more than one, used to build your house, and the reams of blueprints needed to build USF. How spatially, architecturally, and building fluent are you? What do you see? Do you see a piece of paper with another somewhat geometric line drawing on it? Can you reformulate the knowledge to see a simple electronic circuit from an electronic stencil maker? Can can you, from this schematic drawing, create the circuitry to make the stencil maker work? How electronically fluent are you? What do you see? Do you see a section of a map with a lot of lines on it? Can you reformulate the knowledge to see the land represented in 3D, its elevation, curvature, and geographic features? Could you respond creatively and appropriately to get from one place to another without getting to the edge of a ravine with no place to cross? Forestry workers, geologists, miners, hikers, and all the firefighters out west read maps like this the way we read stop signs. How fluent are we at spatial and topographic literacy? What do you see? Do you see a trench with a pipe in it? Can you reformulate the knowledge to see sewer pipe or irrigation pipe being laid? Could you read the soil conditions, know how to keep on a straight course at the appropriate depth, know how to create the appropriate angle bends, and know how to create a slight drop so the contents flow? Could you pick up a shovel and respond creatively and appropriately? How naturalistically fluent and how physically fluent are we? We spend 12 years or more teaching children word-based literacy and numeracy. What alternative literacies are we telling them they have to wait to learn? How are we acknowledging other fluencies in the classroom? Or how are we discrediting them?